Armoire makes getting dressed easy. With a clothing rental membership from Armoire, build the perfect wardrobe with brands that are high quality, unique, and recommended just for you. All you have to do is take a 5-minute style quiz and select items from your dynamic personalized closet. The styles show up at your door in as little as 2 days. Then when you're ready for new clothes, just swap them out for more new-to-you styles. Now, I went on a girls' trip to Santa Fe recently, and I rented all of my outfits from Armoire. It was so much fun putting together a mix of casual and formal looks, and my favorite was this pair of white, wide-legged jeans from Paige that went well with everything. Now, I wouldn't normally own anything white because I can be kind of clumsy, but with Armoire, I just ship it back and they'll take care of keeping the pants in pristine condition. Right now, our listeners can give Armoire a try and get up to 50% off their first month. That's up to $125 off. Just visit armoire.style/dateable. That is armoire.style, spelled ARMOIRE.style/DATEABLE to get up to 50% off your first month and never worry about what to wear again. Try Armoire today.
San Francisco, we have so many events for you this week to celebrate the release of How to Be Dateable and hope to see your lovely faces. First off, we'll be at Neon on Union Street from 6 to 8 p.m. on Friday, February 14th, which is Valentine's Day, for our SF book launch event, where we'll be doing a live show around the dating archetypes with drinks, snacks, and mingling as well. If you're in the North Bay or enjoy hiking in Marin, come out on Saturday, February 15th to book passage from 4 to 6 p.m., where we'll have a conversation about how to be dateable with Dr. Marie Tuin, who has also been on our show before. And last but not least, come out to Manny's in the Mission on Tuesday, February 18th, where we'll be doing a salon-style talk about the love crisis and how to escape it from 6 to 7 p.m. We'll also have all these events posted on our website at dateablepodcast.com/events. We hope to see you there for all the SF local folks, and for everyone else, let us know if we should come to your city and where. Feel free to reach out to us at hello@dateablepodcast.com, and we hope to see you soon. Now on to the show. And I'm Julie Krafchick,
Dating Insiders,
here to dive into everything modern dating and relationships.
Welcome to Dateable. Welcome to Brunch Talk, everyone, where we answer your burning dating questions and talk about relevant dating topics.
Yeah, it's like shooting the shit like we are at brunch because we miss being at brunch together. It's the reality.
And we talked about last week that Julie and I are going to reunite very soon.
Yes.
Very soon. In less than 24 hours of this recording, actually. And we're going to get some really good brunch. That's in the forecast.
So, Yue, I didn't tell you this, but I almost lost my shit this morning because I could not find my wallet anywhere.
Oh, God.
Anywhere. And I'm like, I need to board a plane soon. I mean, not like right this minute, but I had time. But I was looking all over the house, like frantically. And Lou, our cleaner, shout out to Lou because I know he loves to listen. He had just come yesterday. So the place was like pretty spotless. So I'm like, I don't know where my wallet could be. And I finally found it. It fell behind my nightstand somehow. I don't even know. Like, I never put it over there, but I did have that minor freak out. Like, I guess I could bring my passport. I guess I can borrow a credit card from my partner. I have like everything in this wallet.
It's just like that episode of Younger when Charles can't find his passport as he's about to board the plane with Quinn. And it turns out his ex-wife had planted the whole thing.
Oh my God. For anyone that listened to last week's episode, you know we're both obsessed with the show and it keeps going. But I am actually on that season right now too.
Are you?
I am, but I've seen it like 1,000 times. But
so yes, I realized I never saw that season. Yeah. So I did finish everything. Thank God it was taking over my life. But you're right. I really hated that last season.
It's like they brought in a whole new staff of writers and changed the characters. Like, why?
Terrible. And just the plot was just kept flip-flopping.
It was so bad.
It was so bad. It's so
also,
bad.
How I Met Your Mother, one of my other favorite shows. Yes, I know the comedy is dated and very inappropriate when you rewatch it now. I'm aware. But I still love that show. Anyways, I feel like that last season, I don't know what they were doing. It It was the weirdest thing. They had like the whole season be Barney and Robin's wedding.
Oh, yes.
It was like an entire season was over a wedding weekend. And then in the finale, they had like 10 years pass. I'm like, what? Why would they like, drag out a weekend for like 10 episodes and then have one episode with like 10 years of life?
Do you think writers just go, fuck it? This is our last season. Who cares? Let's just put whatever out there. Because I feel like that's a curse of a successful show. Lost was the same way. Like that last season was awful. Just any of these shows that go on and on, I think writers just give up. You got all my good stuff in the earlier seasons. I can't give you any more. But yeah, Younger was exactly that. They had to squeeze out some plots that were not great.
Speaking of giving up, have you?
What? Have you given up?
You're like, where is this going? I've been getting so many articles. I've been seeing so many articles of this is no surprise to anyone, but like how people are just giving up on dating apps. Mm-hmm. And I just keep seeing them like in my feed. I know your algorithm will start to give you what you're looking for. I mean, there's actually like pretty interesting stats. I pulled one of them up. It was from The Guardian. And I love the title of it. It feels like admin, why people are falling out of love with dating apps. And I mean, again, no surprise. We've heard this for years now, which is how much work dating apps are. But I think it's interesting the way that was phrased. And it says 1.4 million people have left behind online dating in the past year, as experts say users see it as a chore rather than a social activity.
So where did people go? Where do you think?
Well, this is the problem. I think everyone wants IRL, but then that's hard too. I was like actually at this event last week and, it's actually an event we will be doing for our belated book tour in April. It's at the Space Ground floor in San Francisco. So shout out to them. And they actually had a storytelling event after. They were like, hey, do you want to stay for it? I'm like, yeah, why not? And it's like, I'm here. Sure. That sounds interesting. And I was talking to like a girl, just like a random person that was at the event. And she's like, oh, like what brings you here? Told her. She's like, of course, went into like dating is the worst. Yeah. It's terrible, blah, blah. I hate the apps. Like I only want to meet people in real life, but then no one talks to me in real life, but I can meet friends in real life. And I'm like, oh my God, this is everyone's saga.
I just don't understand where people are going. If you all want to meet somebody, here's a resource that connects you. And if you're not using it.
But that's the love crisis, right? Is that people are burning out. That is the crisis. There needs to be the alternative.
I do think that my closest single girlfriends, none of them are on dating apps, but they're also saying that they're not ready yet. So it feels like there is a readiness that needs to come with it, and they seem like they will get back on them. But I just don't know what's going to replace dating apps or what's going to be that next iteration.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the mode shifted a lot in the last couple of years. I feel like there's this feeling of like you need to hype yourself up to get on them. Like there is a dread. Yes. And I think back in the day when they first came out, I remember it being novel and exciting and interesting. And over the years, I think the pandemic was a factor too, is that was all we had. So people doubled down on that. We were hearing a lot of people using apps for the first time and going through this whole process. And you really had no other outlets either. So you had to depend on them. And I think that just like built up, and just the whole pandemic is very interesting to look back on too, because I think there was this whole feeling of like dating is going to be better. It's going to be different. And then once that was over, it kind of went back to the baseline, and that didn't happen. So I think that was very discouraging to people. And it was just kind of the perfect storm of feeling like I'm putting in all this effort, yet nothing is panning out.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I'm just so like,
I mean, it kills me. It kills me because I met someone on there, and I'm so happy and grateful for it. I mean, clearly we have opinions on this. We haven't been shy to say that we don't actually agree with the way that most people use the apps, and that's part of the problem. I agree. I think if I use the apps the way that most people do, it would be completely draining and brutal. So it is like figuring out a different way, which we do talk about in our book. So plug to go check that out if you haven't already. But I think that's a big piece of it too, is just like the way that they are designed a lot of times is to keep you on the app.
I think something that's been happening now that we've been using apps for a while now, and this is something I just hear anecdotally from my friends, they can see people they've been on dates with and
Yeah.
that there's a little shame to that
Mm,
or there's a little just disappointment to that because they're reminders of the failed dates that you've been on. And I think when
interesting.
dating apps were first rolled out, everybody was new. You're not really running into people you know. And now it's like, oh, I see my neighbor. I see my coworker. I see my ex. I see my ex's ex. There's just like a little bit more recognition and no more of that anonymity that comes with apps in the beginning.
I mean, I think a big problem to me is the biggest problem is that they haven't been updated in 10 years.
Yeah.
20 years were going on. 2012 is when they really came to the scene.
Yeah. So what would you do if you're a stakeholder and you see a major drop in usage and you're in the boardroom with all the other stakeholders and you're like, y'all, there's a problem. People are using our app less and less. What are we going to do about it?
Well, first of all, hearing out people and understanding like what is it that is the reason why this sentiment exists. And in my opinion, it's looking at the technology and how do we make this just a lot more enjoyable and easy for people and getting people to the date, because I think that's where the challenge is right this minute is everyone's just in this like limbo aspect of apps that you're just in this like texting and messaging black hole that you're never interacting with humans. And if you don't see results, of course it's going to be painful. Like if you're never going on dates, we talk to people on apps that are like, yeah, I never actually go on dates. Of course you're going to be burnt out. So how do you get people to dates quicker or at least get them to interact through phone or video in some of the ways that can, you know, bring some humanity back to it?
And I wonder if there's some hybrid that they're all playing with between dating apps and then a concierge.
Oh yeah, there has to be something to like get people more in real life.
Yeah, that isn't cheesy. That isn't like a prompt, which I think was the answer in the last couple of years. Let's just give them prompts. But something that ushers people along the dating process to make it feel fun and to make it feel unexpected. Because that comment of it feeling like admin,
Yeah.
it just shows you that admin to me sounds like it's something I have to do. I don't want to do, but the result is predictable. I know exactly what I'm getting, and it's just checking off a list.
There has to be a bridge to IRL more. There has to be that like connection point. I'm a firm believer that technology can facilitate, but I don't think it should be like this replacement. And I think that's what it's become, is a replacement, not a facilitator. I don't know. I have this idea, like I'm not saying that this should be what it is. Like I think it'd be cool if you were like in an environment and like there was some way that everyone at the coffee shop could be like, I'm down to meet people, or something that could like give that green light to people to approach in real life, because that's also missing in today's world. No one will approach anyone anymore. Like how do you leverage tech to like, you know, make that happen more?
What happened to that ring? Do people still wear it?
I don't know.
The
ring is hard.
There's still stigma with broadcasting to the world that you're single. I don't know why.
I know.
And that's why singles events don't always pan out well, because like some people don't want to admit that they're single or they don't want to be seen in that light. It's like, dude, you're single. But there's nothing wrong with that.
I would love to unpack with someone at Tinder, like what happened to Tinder social. Remember that back in the day?
Oh, do we?
Yes, but how fun was that, right?
So like, fun. And grouper.
Yes. Did it result in meeting your soulmate all the time? Not always. But there was something there and it felt like it got cut prematurely. And I'm curious. And there was also the one that we did a long time ago with Zeus. Remember, we were their sponsor, Lively. It was the video app that was also way before its time. And what would it be that you would kind of like speed date on video almost? Like you would do like a quick interaction. I just think it needs to be more creative to get people talking again.
Yes. It needs to create a chance for romance.
Yeah.
But not a pressure or expectation of romance, which is what dating apps do. Once you match, you have this expectation that there has to be a romantic connection. But if you're creating an environment, which is why we love Tinder Social, it's an environment where you might have a connection, but if not, you're having fun with strangers and you're not committed to anything with them.
It's the organic connection that people crave, right?
Yeah. There has to be something that can get people to that point. My wild idea is like go the complete opposite and go transactional.
What do you mean by that?
Okay, if this love and sparks and chemistry thing can't be created on apps, why not just make it transactional, but not in the way of like seeking arrangements, because that's monetary. It's like you put out there what you're good at, the skill set that you have, or a vocation that
Oh my
you
God.
have. And then you match with people who have that skill set that you need. Like, for example, why I think about this is because I could really use a dentist boyfriend, but like a very skilled dentist, and it would be great to match with someone who happens to have that skill set.
Oh my goodness.
And I can provide whatever skills. I don't know what skills I have. I can help him build a podcast if he needed to.
This is the exact opposite of romance, right?
Exactly.
Here.
That's what I'm like. If we can't do the romance route, why not just go the complete opposite and just go transactional, do skill set matching?
That sounds sad to me. I'm sorry. I'm not sure how fond
I think it's only sad if you're truly like looking for romance. But I just really need to get my teeth fixed. So it makes perfect sense. And then after you've done the project for each other, you can choose to keep going with the relationship, or you can choose to end it.
I also think like having different metrics on dating apps would be important too, like response rate and things that can show that you're actually, not a flaky person. Because I think that's what really gets people down too, when you're just like messaging, or maybe it's like ratio to chats to dates or something, like some information. Because I think that's the problem, is we're only focused on the information we have, which a lot of time is superficial traits that don't matter. Like we don't know if someone's reliable or trustworthy or a good partner or committed. And, there's more and more of asking, like, what are you looking for? And I think that's a step, but people don't always tell the truth a lot of times. Like they tell what they think people want to hear on these and like what's socially acceptable. So if there was like, I don't know, some feedback system or some way to gain more data on it, I think that could be interesting too.
Ooh, what if there's a way to match people with what they put into the app?
Yeah.
So if you are a super user, you'll get served to other super users. If you're a casual user, then you get served to casual users, and that's how you match.
I feel like energy attracts energy, so I don't think it's a terrible idea.
We have the solution, because otherwise you guys are dead. What are you going to do? Like, you have to close the doors, right?
I mean, I don't think it's that dire personally, but I mean, what are they showing? They're like 16% has dropped off. I don't think it's that dire, but it's not a good thing, obviously, in terms of growth.
So all of them are making money from subscriptions. That's the way they're monetizing. So I'd be curious if the usage is down for those paid for accounts versus the free accounts.
Probably across the board is my guess. But yeah, I mean, again, I'm so pro dating apps. This does like break my heart a bit. So hopefully we can figure out a solution someday.
I'm just bewildered. Like, what is the alternative, right?
Or people need to get social skills again. That's the alternative.
That's sad. That's sad. That's where we're at. No, get our book. That's it. The 16% who've exited dating apps. Why don't you all buy our book?
I don't know. I feel like that might make people want to come back on them personally.
Yes, that's the whole point.
Yeah. Okay. I do want to pivot though, because we have a good question that was being discussed. And I want to get your take on it. Before we do, let's take a break and hear from our sponsors. We all know that February is the month of love, and it's time to keep that Valentine's Day energy going all month long. Elevate your passion using the natural power of cannabis with Vaya. My go-to gummy is still the Flow State CBD one. It's THC-free with herbal plant extracts and functional mushrooms designed to support brain function, boost energy, and enhance mental focus. But this month, when love is in the air, I highly recommend trying out their best-selling High Love Gummy that will awaken your senses, increase blood flow, and intensify any sexual experience. And the best part, Via legally ships to nearly all states in the US in discreet packaging directly to your door with a worry-free guarantee. No medical card required. If you're 21 plus, head to viahemp.com and use the code DATEABLE to receive 15% off. And if you're new to Via, get a free gift of your choice. That's VIIA hemp.com and use the code DATEABLE at checkout. After you purchase, they ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. This month of love, elevate your love life with Via. I've been getting so many compliments lately on my wardrobe, and that's because it looks so damn luxurious. But the secret is that while I like luxury items, I can't always afford them until I discovered Quince. Quince is my go-to for luxury essentials at affordable price because who doesn't love the good things in life? Quince offers a range of high-quality items at prices within reach, like 100% Mongolian cashmere sweaters from $50, washable silk tops and dresses, organic cotton sweaters, and 14-karat gold jewelry. I've been pairing my cashmere oversized crew neck sweater with their wool straight leg pants, and I legit look stylish for once. The best part of all is that Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. So give yourself the luxury you deserve with Quince. Go to quince.com/dateable for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/dateable to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/dateable.
Let's be honest, we all stress about our relationship sometimes, right? But what if those thoughts take over your life and you feel this deep need to do something about them? Maybe this drives you to constantly check for signs that your relationship's okay, ask for reassurance from your partner or loved ones, or compare your relationship to others. These can be signs of relationship OCD, a type of obsessive compulsive disorder that focuses on your relationships. Now, not every therapist understands OCD or is qualified to treat it effectively, which can make it difficult to find the right kind of help. And that's where NoCD comes in. With NoCD, you can do virtual therapy with a licensed therapist who specializes in treating all types of OCD. They can teach you how to set those fears and doubts aside so that you can enjoy your relationship and your life. To find out more about therapy with NoCD, go to nocd.com and book a free 15-minute call with their team. That's nocd.com to learn more and book a free call. Trust me, it's worth your time to talk to someone who can uncover what's really going on and help you get your life back.
So there was a whole topic in our Facebook group around how, after a breakup, what happens when you go out and you meet someone great, but then you keep comparing them to your ex. And, someone was asking, does that mean, they were saying the date was good, they even made out at the end. Overall, the feeling a bit hollow and pessimistic about finding the same kind of connections that they had lost. They were asking, do you think it's because it's too early to be dating again? Or, am I just not over my ex? Or should I go for the second date?
I think there are two parts to this question, and I think I'll address one at a time. One is it natural to compare someone you're currently dating to someone you've dated before? I think all of us do it because we always need a point of reference. And the more data points you collect, the more you can say, okay, this is like a really hot connection that we have, or this is kind of like not a great connection. So yeah, I think there's a lot of comparison, but I would also be cautious because I've fallen victim to this. Is in early dating, whatever you're feeling is like heightened in those first 6 months. And it's actually hard to compare those 6 months to maybe someone you dated for 3 years. Sometimes we think they're apples to apples, but it's not. I would just be cautious. Yes, it's natural to do that, but the first couple months of a relationship, take your feelings for that person at face value instead of trying to compare to what you've had before.
Yeah. I mean, another piece of it too is maybe it is too early, listening to your gut on that, because I've been there before where I remember going on this date and there was nothing wrong with the guy, but I just felt sadness because I wasn't over an ex. I had tried to move on quickly to get back out there and just not lose time. And I remember crying in the bathroom. And it was not anything to do with the person. And it kind of sucked. I remember them asking me out again and having to be like, I'm just not ready and it's nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
And, sometimes that's okay to listen to yourself, especially if, like, in theory, everything checks off, but you're just like feeling hollow. Like, it's a sign that maybe you just need to honor it. Doesn't mean it's a sign you need to get back with your ex, but it's a sign that maybe you're not fully ready to be out there.
Yeah. And I think that addresses the second part of the question is, what do you do with that information you get from comparing, the current person with the previous person? And the danger of some of this is like, you think it's a person versus a person, but I think it's a feeling versus a feeling. And what you just described, Julie, is like, what you were feeling in that date wasn't about the person. It was like how you felt afterwards. And just feeling hollow or feeling empty or feeling sadness, don't equate that to the person you want to date with. Equate that to your current experience. And if you're feeling that after just any date, then probably that's a sign that there's still some healing to do before you get back out there.
Yeah. And it's not a sign of longing for your ex either.
No.
It's not a sign of either. I think so many times we go there. Like, I went on a date, it didn't go well, or I feel like I miss my ex. I should go back with them. And I think it's really just like, this is honoring yourself. And this is where you're at more than anything. That's the only thing you're going to get from that information.
Oh, the I miss you text that I've sent in my dating career. Falsely thinking I was missing an ex when I really didn't. It was about me working through that, departing from that relationship, and also just working through changing of your status from in a relationship to being single. But oh my gosh, I cringe thinking about sending those texts because it never culminated in anything that was good for me. What's the other person going to say? Like, oh yeah, let's get back together, but everything stays the same. No.
I feel like that did happen to me. That's the point.
Yeah, right?
I definitely had this really bad date right before the pandemic. Actually it was pretty bad. The guy got kind of aggressive of wanting to get handsy and stuff, and it was very uncomfortable because we had talked on the phone prior. So it was right when COVID was is this a thing, is it not a thing? And we had this whole phone conversation, and he's like, oh, we already went on a date, this is our second date. I'm like, wait, what? This is the first time I'm meeting you. No, it's not. And I'm not into this. And it was actually kind of scary. It was the most scared I've actually ever felt on a date before. And I remember going home and calling my ex. That started things up again over the pandemic. But it clearly meant that it wasn't fully resolved either, if you are going to that.
Yes.
And sometimes
and
you
was
have
your
to
last time.
It was, and you had to let it play out. But I know I'm trying to hear what this person is wanting us to talk about, though, of when will it be time? And it's so hard to get that, because I think that's the part that's scary. When you go on a date, you have this feeling come up, you realize you're not ready, and then you're like, shit, is it going to be like this forever?
Yeah, I know, because when we're scared, we want to default to what's familiar. And what is most familiar is probably your most recent relationship that felt stable, stable-ish for what it is. And sometimes I truly believe that you need a little bit of breathing room in between relationships. Otherwise, when you're go from getting out of a relationship to date after date and trying to assess those connections, you don't give yourself the white space to reflect on that previous relationship. And that's when you're going to get most hurt. And I think sometimes it's in that white space is when you realize you're ready or not.
I know it's kind of an ambiguous answer, but I feel from at least my personal experience, it hasn't been, I don't know, a progression. Just one day it kind of clicks that I'm ready to meet people again.
Yeah.
For me, a helpful piece was, what is the motive behind meeting new people? So I think when I was hung up on an ex, it was to get them out of my system, to find someone better than the ex. A lot of it was still on that other person. But when I was truly ready to meet someone for myself, it was to meet someone new, to meet someone to connect with. So I think that taking that step back and saying, why am I looking to date again, is huge.
I love that. That's a really good comparison, because you're less dependent on feelings for the ex.
Yeah.
and more focus on your true feelings and needs. And in this comparison game, what we're doing is comparing the ex and
Yeah.
their needs with someone else. And you just leave yourself out of the equation when you compare. So yeah, take a moment and ask, like, what is it that I need and I want?
I mean, I've been on dates where I've wanted to bring up the ex just to talk about them. And I'm
Uh-huh.
like, this is a sign that I probably shouldn't be on
Uh-huh.
this date. So yeah, look at like what's coming up for you if your conversation is going there. I remember also being on a date once with someone and all he talked about was his
Was their
ex.
ex? Yep.
I found out about their like financial issues and sex issues and stuff that I should never have known. And I remember like trying to change the topic and inevitably he'd bring it back. And the next day when he like reached out again, I was like, look, do what you want with this info, but I really think you should take time just for you right now because it's clear you're not past this.
I know. Yeah, I still remember that story you were telling. And I think all of us have been on dates where people can't stop talking about their ex, like talking shit about their ex. And even though they're saying negative things, you're like, bro, you're not over it. You're definitely not over it. If this is still top of mind for you, and the way someone talks about their ex is so telling of if someone's ready to date again.
Yeah. I think honestly, people ask, like, should you ask about people's past relationship experience, like on a first date? And I'm so mixed on it because I feel like the times when I did, it was because it was almost like an excuse to talk about my ex, not like in a bad way, but like I could bring it up in my past experience. And I don't know. I don't know why people are so fixated on that question because I feel like people attach like a meaning that this person will be a good partner if they've had past relationships. And to me, that metric like does not always correlate. Like, what if you've had like hundreds of relationships and they all end a month in because you can't commit? Does that make you a good prospect to date? Like, how is that better than dating someone that maybe like hasn't had a lot of relationships? So I don't know. I guess my question is like, why even like go there? Like, is that necessary? And is it just an excuse?
I do like to know how the last relationship ended. I do ask that question, why and how the last relationship ended, because I've seen the difference in someone saying, "Oh, she decides she really want to have kids, and I don't."
Yeah.
So we just couldn't find alignment in that. So that gives me a lot of information versus someone saying like, "Oh, what a bitch.
Yeah.
She did this and that and my family hates her." And, it was 5 years down the drain. You're like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, seriously. Okay. Well, I don't know if that answered your question. Hopefully I think it's probably just take your time for yourself right now. It's a sign.
Yeah. If you have to ask a question anyway, something is being processed in you, and that's information to take away.
Yeah. I don't know if I would recommend going on a second date. There's a part of that. If truly it's meant to be and you can like take a little time now to recover from your last relationship, you can always reach out again. And if it's meant to be, they'll be there. If not, then it wasn't meant to be.
In the spirit of humanity, would you want to be on that side?
No.
Would you want someone to talk about you in this way? I went on a date with her and I felt empty afterwards.
Yeah.
Hollow. Yeah.
Should I go on a second date? Yeah.
I mean, if you were on the receiving end, you'd probably just be like, it's okay. We don't need to go on a second date.
Yeah. It's funny because most times we will be like, go on a second date if you had a good enough time. But in this case, we're like, yeah, maybe don't.
Yeah. Leave it.
Okay. Well,
thanks for that question.
Unpacking. Yeah. It's a good topic. I think a lot of people have been in that situation for sure.
Definitely. And you can get your brunch talk questions answered by emailing us hello@dateablepodcast.com, or you can DM us on Instagram @dateablepodcast is where you can find us. But best option yet is to find us in Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star rating and review. We've been saying we want to get to 1,000 reviews for a while. We're going to get there with your help. That helps us a lot. And in the body of the review, you can tell us and ask us the question there.
Love it. Okay. Well, remember to order How to Be Dateable and you'll start using the apps differently. Let go of the past that's creeping into the future. All the things we covered in this episode.
And we'll see you all next week.
Bye.
All you homeowners have unique needs. Some feel the need to leave up holiday decorations year-round. Others have the need to use their garage as practice space for their new metal band. And because each homeowner has unique needs, Geico helps you get the right coverage for your home and what's in it. That way, you get exactly what's right for you, even if your needs are unique. Get more with Geico.
This is your before and after story. Prepare for an incredible career in nursing. At Southeastern College, experience expert hands-on training. Learn real-world skills in our professional lab and simulated settings. And train for opportunities as a practical nurse, registered nurse, or career advancement with our RN to BSN program. At Southeastern College, your future is bright. Visit sec.edu to get started.